And I think that's the exponential mindset that if you're prepared to make a mental shift and to change your goals to something that's outrageous and then work backwards and say, well, what would have to happen for me to do that?
Hey, I'm Guy Powell, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing and AI. And if you haven't already done so, please visit prorelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. As you know, I am the author of the newly released book, The AI Marketing Machine. And of course, you can find out more information on that at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. And if you want to, you can download the first chapter there, or just go out to Amazon and check it out over there. Today, I'm interviewing Hugh Massie, and let me tell you a little bit more about him. Hugh is the executive chairman and founder of DNA Behavior International, the Behavior and Money Insights Company, now serving individuals and organizations in over 125 countries and 14 languages. A Titan 100 CEO, behavioral economics pioneer, and author of 8 books. Hugh's proven perspective is simple and powerful. Behavior makes money. No question about that. And Hugh, I'm very impressed. I know what it takes to write 6 books. And so this was my sixth, and if you've written 8, that's fantastic. It's always great to have somebody that really knows their stuff. So definitely looking forward to speaking with you. So what's your backstory on AI and marketing?
Marketing's operating system has been replaced. Not upgraded, not improved. Replaced, completely and totally replaced. AI isn't a tool you bolt onto your existing marketing organization. It's a fundamental redesign of how marketing thinks, operates, and creates value. And most CMOs are already behind. The AI Marketing Machine is the field guide for marketing leaders who want to get ahead of that curve. Built on more than a decade of the marketing machine methodology and interviews with over 100 CMOs, this book shows you how to harness generative and analytic AI together, without losing the human edge that makes great marketing unforgettable. This isn't theory, this is the playbook. How to redesign your team, how to build AI into the foundation of how you work, how to prove ROI in the boardroom, and how to lead the intelligent marketing machine that wins in the marketplace. Marketing's future is already here. The question is whether you're building it or watching someone else do it. The AI Marketing Machine, available now.
Well, firstly, great to be with you, Guy, and to to talk about marketing and I think I'm very excited about what can be done in marketing in the future because my real driver with all of this and why I got into human behavior in the first place is to provide a more personalized experience for every human. I think every person deserves to have a tailor-made. I think with AI now we can go to that level at 98%. So for 98% of people, we can get a tailor-made suit on them for 98% at a 98% level because there's enough information data out there about people to be able to disseminate it and construct, the unique message for them, the pitch, if that's what, if something's being sold, presented to them or communicated to them. And AI allows us to do that. I think that gives human behavior, in the way I look at human behavior, an opportunity to really come forward in the future. Whereas so much marketing has been done based on demographics, what's the color of the person's skin? Are they male, female? What country do they come from? What's their age? And the financials. And you can have 2 people, Guy, living in the same cul-de-sac, 40 years old, spouse, 2 kids, got $1 million, no mortgage, and whatever the situation is, and they will be treated as the same. They're not, and that's what we need. That's what we need to deal with, and I think that AI will allow us to do that at scale.
Mm. Well, it is incredible, some of the stuff that in terms of personalization, and now then bringing in the emotional and behavioral piece of that, and then the historical piece, because it's kind of it's not only where you are today and demographics, but it's also what your history is in terms of your past relationship with the brand or past engagement with the media and stuff like that, and being able to bring all of that in, and plus, information about your own personal stuff, it can really make a difference. And getting that personalization right, and getting the suit that you're wearing, your custom made suit. I like that metaphor. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think it can also be predictive as well. I think you can use this in a predictive way to know where is the person likely to go and what are the issues that are going to come up for them, what are their needs, wants, and be able to present opportunities on that basis as well. I think if that, but that means that the behavioral insight needs to be reliable enough
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do
yeah,
that.
absolutely. So tell us about DNA Behavior International. What's your company all about?
So DNA Behavior International is a behavioral uh, intelligence platform. We really are seeking to provide the behavioral infrastructure for organizations to understand all of their people in their ecosystem. So that's not just employees. So it's not just traditional use of a behavioral system for hiring talent and building teams. It's also for understanding all of the clients or customers, depending on what your business is, and the prospects and leads. We come at it from a psychometric measurement perspective. So when I started the business 20 years ago in Australia, from having a wealth management business, it's where it morphed out of, because I wanted to provide, the clients with a personalized experience. And I think it was interesting. You mentioned Kahneman's book, there were Thinking Fast and Slow. He had another one, Noise as well, that's very deep on the behavior. I wanted to understand how people made decisions and particularly what drove those decisions. And importantly in there, Guy, what causes people stress.
Hmm.
And so that was my background drivers and from in a wealth management business. And particularly I think that a lot of selling and marketing doesn't work at times because people aren't communicated with the right way. And I know that people have tried to sell me things, and if they had perhaps had communicated it differently, I might have bought what they were offering or more at a higher price. And so that's the background. And when I realized that to provide the personalized experience, that I really needed to understand every person as a unique being and their behavior, that's when I went to psychometric measurement. And I hired uh, industrial psychologist type specialists to work with me. They sent me from Sydney in Australia, that's so you can tell from the accent, to the United States, to Atlanta, where I am now. I worked with professionals here in America, including academics, and we built the DNA system to really get a very, very deep, precise understanding of a person, not just a Myers-Briggs indicator style, to go way deeper than that, and to also understand how people deal with money and all the behavioral biases that people like Daniel Kahneman have talked about and researched. We actually measure for
Mm.
each individual. So because those biases don't show up all the same. I was talking about that with somebody the other day in a podcast. Uh, the behavioral biases, if someone's got loss aversion or follows the herd or um, does mental accounting, whatever those types of biases are that drive decision making, is not equal in every person. And if you want to understand the person, I think that needs to be recognized. So that's what we're doing. So we're using, when the business started, we built a science-based questionnaire to reveal those behaviors. And that originally 20 years ago took 30 minutes to do because of the questions and the technology. Today it's 10 minutes.
Hmm.
But what we then moved to was for accelerating the process in marketing is we built a digital scan process. So now we can use open intelligence sources to gather enough information about a person to predict how they would answer our questionnaire. So that changes the game from marketing because, when you're marketing to someone, you may not necessarily have met them and you may not have built the trust yet. to have them to complete a profile. So, but you want to know something more about them to start segmenting, customizing the experience and putting that tailor-made suit on them. That's what we're doing. So that's the way we're getting to mass scale um, personalization.
Yeah, it's an interesting way. So basically, what you're doing, it sounds like, is you're leveraging, a fact-based psychometric, and then you're using the LLM to apply it to the rest of the marketplace.
In essence, reverse engineered our own system to produce the profile
Mm,
people on at scale because we've got several million people have actually fully completed the profile, so we've got a lot of data about people,
mm,
about their roles, what they do in life, uh, etc. We're able to, so that provides us with a head start in this in sense of having a very solid foundation, and then we can go out to public data sources to find out enough about the person
mm.
to to do a digital scan.
Yeah,
And that gets you
yeah.
an accuracy level that's, in the area of 75% on average, which probably for marketing is more than enough to start with. And then, you add to that all of the other financial demographic information, other touch points that you got on the person. Now you've got a much richer story.
Mm. So does that apply mostly to high consideration products, like financial services, or does it apply as well to, I don't know, lower consideration, whatever those happen to be?
It could apply to any product or any sales situation.
Mm,
It can apply to that. It can apply, even in the B2B setting, and you are the relationship manager who's trying to kick the door down to make a sale, and you meet the gatekeeper, and you've got to get them interested, and then you know that there's a buyer behind the scenes. So you're dealing with multiple personalities,
yep,
even if you don't meet them
yep.
all. It can work for that. It can work at mass scale if you're selling cosmetics. Uh, it can be done anywhere. Really, the process works at any situation where there's a database of people. We can
Mm,
step in and enrich in that database.
hmm. Wow.
I would say that the what we would call the full scan process guy, where we're talking about a wealth manager working with a client on a long-term relationship basis, and they're making very high stakes decisions, then it would be better at a certain point that they complete the full profile. But we're really doing this in a one-two punch. So we're helping some of the wealth management firms and banks with using the digital scan process for their lead and prospect generation and conversion.
Yep,
And then once the person becomes a client, then they upscale and
yep,
do the complete process. But trust is already built.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely.
that's the sophisticated way of doing it. Um,
Yeah. So you talk about an exponential mindset. So what exactly is that, and how does that fit in?
Well, I think that it's, I suppose the way I talk about it, if you look at my own journey when I started DNA behavior and what we called, and the product at the time was financial DNA, 20 years ago, I sort of said, well, if I could get 100,000 people, this would be great, right? To complete the profile. And, you can apply unit economics to that, and that would have still been a reasonable amount of money. And then, I passed that goal and I said to myself, well, what if I get a million people? Okay. That was still back in, 2010 or somewhere that time. That's a lot of people,
Yeah, that
right?
is a lot of people.
And then, we meet that goal. And so, and the business is growing, but it's growing steadily. We're optimizing it, right? And we're
Hmm.
getting step by step what I call better at execution, finding more people. But if you want to make the quantum leap growth, you've got to do, or the exponential growth, you've got to do something completely different. And I think that's the 10x mindset that you have to then look at. Okay, what types of clients have I got? So
Mm,
we had a lot of clients that were wealth managers, uh, smaller businesses that bought a subscription from us. And that was good. We were still getting a lot of leverage out of that. But what I said was, well, okay, what if we 10x this and then 10x it again? And then I eventually in 2023 said, when AI had come along, well, what if we had 1 billion people in our profile, in our system? What do we have to do? And that meant AI, and that meant the digital scan product, because we're not going to get 1 billion people to actively complete profiles as much as I think they should, and it's good for them. Um, it's just not going to happen. But we can go now and go to companies with large databases. Like we've just signed up a bank with 1 million people or so in the database.
Hmm.
We can provide a behavioral profile psychometrics to every person in that database essentially overnight.
Hmm.
So that changes the game. And we've done it for some larger databases than that. So that changes the game in how we operate. And I think that's the exponential mindset that if you're prepared to make a mental shift and to change your goals to something that's outrageous and then work backwards and say, well, what would have to happen for me to do that? So I think we can all build up mental blockages in our head about what we can do. And every human is capable. This is the coaching point, I suppose. Every human's capable of doing far more than they think they can. And
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
told me, well, you can do 50% more than you think you can. Um, and then the following year that you can do that again. But I think you could do more than that, right? Now that I think 50% is a limitation, right? But a lot of things have to work in your favor to do that. I think that, that's not, we're not talking about lifting weights in the gym here, where that might be relevant, or going for a run and, improving your time from, running a mile from 15 minutes to 9 minutes. We're not talking about that. Uh,
Right.
but it's still the same. I think, Guy, it's still the same thinking. And I think some people might say, well, it's outrageous for Hugh Massie to be saying, ex-CPA, whatever, running a behavioral business, to say that we can know people at a 98% level, for 98% of them. But you can.
Mm.
And if you want, if as a business, if you want to do that, you can set yourself on the path to do it.
Yeah, yeah, and I
And if
think
you,
you're right. I think we all have our own psychological blocks, and I think to your point as well. If I want to 10x this, then what is it going to take, and then then you can work back and figure out what those steps are to get you that 10x. So I really like that approach. As a matter of fact, I used to do a lot of small business and startup consulting, and I had a 10-100 plan, which is how do you get your first customer, then your 10 customers, then 100, and then 1,000. So it's exactly the same thing. Is how do you get that ramp up so that you can figure out what it takes, and then if you need funding, get funding for it, and then actually execute and deliver successfully.
yeah, I think what people miss is that, what you do to get the first 10 or 100 clients or 1,000 clients will probably be different to what you have to do to get the next lot of clients.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or
Absolutely.
how do you get more out of each client? Like we could take the bank that we're doing the work for, humanize the database for 1 million people. Now we could step in there and do some leadership consulting and coaching and, work with their top 20 level people, right? And maybe train a few of their salespeople to communicate and connect better with people that they talk to in meetings. That would be the traditional type service that
Yeah.
a behavioral orientated training firm would do, as opposed to saying, well, yeah, we can do all of that, and you should do that, right? That's important stuff. But if you want to go to end on this and be truly client centered, then you better know the clients or the
Yeah.
customers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and you look at the revenue from those two exercises, the training part might be 50,000. The other service might be, in the hundreds of thousands.
Mm.
But it's delivering hundreds of thousands or millions in value, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So how are you using AI in there? Where does the AI fit?
So the AI fits one at the creation of the profile, right? So that we're using, the large language models essentially to create the profile when we do the digital scan. Then the AI can get used to create the marketing messages like to interpret the profiles, to create the marketing messages. So that's really where it then fits in. And then, for our firm, we're not the marketing firm. We're going to work with the marketer and infuse
Mm,
what we have to them.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's where it's so important, and marketers, unfortunately, it's very easy for us and to get sidetracked on the details, and then kind of forget that all purchase decisions are really emotionally made, and to be able to stimulate that decision based on their emotions as opposed to their demographics is so critical. And that's why I have a series of questions here, but I'm just fascinated by what you're talking about and how that all comes together.
Yeah, I think it's important for businesses to recognize as well, though, and I think this is part of marketing, Guy, is you still, as a marketer, got to get the positioning of your business right. And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and
yeah,
and and and, and what I call you got to for this to work, for AI to work, you've got to have the right structure and positioning of the business and the right marketing, program structure. You've got to know, I think, all of those things that potentially would work for your business. I think what AI might do is open up some opportunities that you would not have otherwise used to go further with more people. And then what we're saying is you could understand the people
yeah,
far better.
yeah,
But
yeah. Far deeper.
yeah, but I don't think this all works if all you do is just sort of rock up to the AI and say, make magic happen for me. I think that's where people get it wrong. It's like in a lot of big organizations now that, are trying to improve workflows and things, but if those workflows were never documented and the processes were never documented and things weren't thought through properly, then AI is just going to move spaghetti junction to another place. And I think that in marketing, it's the same thing. You've got to be very clear about these are the customers I want. This is why. And now we can use the AI to target them better
Yeah,
in the way in which
yeah,
they want to be targeted with and make sure the selling process also operates the right way too.
yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I think um, most marketers, especially on the operational side, are using AI to make good improvements. You can get 50%, 70% of the way there on many different operational things. But then to your point, it's how do you make sure that the actual improvement is then, a valuable improvement, and doesn't just, make things go faster of things that you're doing wrong. And then secondly, what it sounds like what, your DNA behavioral understanding does, though, is it adds really that next dimension to how you're going to target the right customers with the right messages at the right time, and that's something that marketers, and really, that right message, right time, right offer,
Yeah.
and what have you, are just so critical, and understanding the emotional side of it is such an important piece.
And I think that once you know who the person is and what those drivers are, then the AI can be used to tailor the message for each person, and that can then be set to operate on a
Yeah,
continuous basis.
yeah,
And I think it's so that, but you've got to make the investment to set that up, um,
yeah, yeah,
and to want to do it. It doesn't just come from none of this just comes from nowhere. Um, and then I think, to me, part of the marketing is then understanding how does that person respond to the message? How do they respond to the human that might interface with them at some point in the process, who's different? And I think the advantage of the having the DNA behavior insights embedded into your system is that everybody in the organization can tap them so that it's not just that we got the marketing experience right, we can get the sales experience and
Yep.
the
Yep.
customer service experience
Yep.
right.
Yep.
And that if the targeting is on a multi-year basis, because not everybody just buys first time. You know, some people need to hear the message 7 to 12 times, they need follow-up, multi-years, people have left. This becomes institutional knowledge.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'd love to keep going with you, but I do need to. I do have one last question for you, and that is, what advice would you give an up and coming new marketer that's getting into the business and seeing themselves, to some extent, competing with AI?
Well, I don't think that anybody has to compete with AI. I think that you need to embrace it, and that AI will, and every human has, you know, what I call strength and struggles guide. That's from within the system. So if you've got a passion for marketing and a bit of a feel, I think, for what people want, what I would say is to recognize that what you think people want may not be what they do want, and that you know the whole idea with you with the behavioral understanding is to fill in that gap so that you know that you can customize the experience for the 60% of people
Mm,
that see the world very differently to you. I think that's what I would say is embrace the AI and look at the opportunities it can provide you to do more.
yeah, yeah, makes sense. So, you've got 8 books. Tell us a little bit about those and which one you'd recommend.
Yeah, so we have, you know, I've, as you said, I've written a number of books. You know, on our website, there's one on leadership behavior if you're interested in that. Sort of gives you a good walk through. We've got one on financial DNA and money energy, for example, as well. You know, they're all good books. I think if you want to learn how the human behavior works for you and get a really sort of like um, a quick read on yourself and start to test out clients, I would go to our godna.ai website
Hmm.
and just start a trial. And you can, you know, trial it, complete your own profile there, and do a couple of digital scans on people and see how this works for you. That's probably going to be the best thing that any marketing person could do. If you can see how that works,
Hmm.
then we can take it to a more enterprise mass scale level later.
Yeah, fantastic. What was that link again?
It's godna.ai.
.ai. Fantastic. GoDNA.ai. Well, I'll definitely do that. I'm really excited about what you're doing, and because that the emotional side and the behavioral side are so critical, and it's, and in many cases, it just seems like it's not available. It sounds like you've really cracked the methodology to make it work for so many different industries. That's just fantastic.
And that's where AI has become my friend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, Hugh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And maybe if it makes sense, we'll have you back on in a couple months and talk a little further about some other, some similar related or other new issues that are going on.
That'd
So,
be
and
fantastic.
yeah, absolutely. And so, where can people reach out to you and your company? Is it GoDNA.ai or is there
Yeah,
another one?
godna.ai, I think is the first place anyone should go. If you want to learn more about me, just go to our main website, dnabehavior.com, or my LinkedIn account. Hugh Massie there in Atlanta. There's only one of me. So except my son, who's 14 years old. So, but there's only one LinkedIn account with Hugh Massie, and it's pretty obvious who I
Yep.
am. And go there and start learning.
Fantastic. Well, I will definitely do that. I'm really impressed and looking forward to that. So, Hugh, thank you very much. And for the audience, definitely stay tuned for many other videos in this series of the backstory on marketing and AI. And if you're interested, as you know, I have my new book, The AI Marketing Machine. It's out there ready and waiting for you to download it from Amazon or to pick a copy up from there and go from there. Otherwise, thank you again, Hugh, and we'll be talking.
Perfect, guy. Thanks so much.
Thank you.